What's up, people? So, today I wanted to talk about an experience that I had. I told you about a couple dreams. Well, this is the first experience that I had, and I can't really explain it too well, but I'm just going to go into it. I had written it down just like I did with the dreams. This happened several months ago. I want to say this was I think September ish time frame, somewhere in there. I was driving home from work. It was late, 8 p.m. after I had punched out. The streets were quiet. There was a few cars, not a whole lot. Air is crisp. The sky was alive. Moon hung overhead, massive. It was one of those super moons, bigger than normal. I mean, I remember staring at it as I was driving, and it was, to me, the biggest moon I ever saw. It was so vivid, so big. I know there was solar flares that day that they were talking about on the news. I was watching some YouTube video about coronal holes and the solar flares and how they were pushing so much energy towards Earth at once. I mean, I remember this being something I kept finding on my feed leading up to this day. I can't explain much about it. I was just staring at the moon as I drove. My eyes were tracing the glow of the moon as it hung there perfectly round, bigger than life. Then I felt it, a pulse, a vibration right in my forehead. Undescribable. Not pain, not pressure, not anything I felt before. Just energy pulsing. Like the sky itself reached down and touched me. My first thought was disbelief. I'm a skeptic. I've always been. Until a year ago, I didn't believe in anything. I mean, I was not a follower of Christ. I was not. I mean, I was one of those guys that I did the ghost tours, and I'd go to houses that were supposedly haunted, and I would try to find these things, and I just thought it was all a bunch of baloney. Same with aliens, and I know they're talking about that a lot now with alien disclosure or whatever, but it's just something I always thought it was just made up stuff, nonsense. But as I'm driving, man, the vibration, I just felt it. It was like right here. It literally felt like you had something vibrating, touching my forehead. That's literally what it felt like, but it was going inside of my head. I slowed the car down, let the headlights glide over the empty road. The moon hung there enormous, almost like it was mocking me, and that feeling just kept coming, a steady rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. I tried to analyze it because it was starting to get more intense to where it was honestly getting hard to drive because it was just a weird sensation. I can't really describe it that well. Maybe it was energy from the solar flares, like they said in the video. Maybe it was something different. I have no idea. All I knew was it was real because I experienced it. I was feeling it. I tried to, just run through different scenarios. Like you hear people talking about their third eye opening, or maybe I was getting the seal of God because this is, I was only a few months saved at the time, and I was pretty heavily into the Word, reading every day, praying, crying out to the Lord, travailing, which at the time I didn't even understand what that word even meant, but I was pretty far in where I was fully believing in Jesus and everything that came with that. So, I mean, maybe that's an answer there. I don't know. All I knew was it was something that changed me in that moment. I couldn't ignore it, I couldn't dismiss it. I just drove the rest of the way home with my hands tight on the wheel, with the moon glaring down, sky alive, with visible power, that pulse on my forehead telling me something was happening, something bigger than me, something I wasn't ready to understand. And that night, as I drove these quiet streets, I felt the first whisper of it, the first brush of extraordinary breaking into my ordinary life, that first hint that the world I thought I knew wasn't all that it was. Now, that's what I wrote down there. And I ad-libbed a little bit. I'm sure you could tell when I was ad-libbing. But, yeah, man. I mean, I got saved last June. Okay. So I haven't even been a follower of Christ for a full year yet. Now, I grew up around it and was introduced to it at a young age, but I never took to it, you know. I just always thought of it as, you know, rules to follow, a way to keep order, man-made thing just to keep order, you know. I just always was very analytical and try to be logical and what's the science, you know, as one of those guys. But you know, when I got saved, when I finally got to the bottom of the barrel and couldn't figure a way out by myself anymore and knew I had to give my life to something bigger than me, when I finally got to that point where I was willing to take that plunge and go deeper and actually submit, which is a big thing. Yeah, these things just happened rapid fire to me, just back to back to back to back to back to where I don't have as much lately anymore, but I've had enough happen to where I don't necessarily think I need these things anymore for confirmation or to convince me. I'm pretty much sold, you know. I hope on that day, if there ever comes a time when I have to stand on business, I pray that I do and I don't waver. You know, I think about that stuff a lot. But this experience that I just told you about was my first supernatural, I guess you could say. You know, outside of a dream. A dream's a dream, you know what I'm saying? So that I can explain away as a logical person. But when you have these experiences, I know I'm just a guy telling you. But if you can ever get yourself to that point where you start having this stuff happen to yourself, you'll know what I'm saying. And it's wild, man. Because I never thought I'd be this guy on this side of the screen, you know. But here I am, you know. And I just want people to know Jesus is real, you know. He's your way. You want to have eternal life? You want to live forever? Jesus is the way. Without him is death. This thing right here, this flesh, that's not the end. You go past that. You think your little 100 years down here is a lot. I mean, what's 100 years to eternity? All I'm trying to say is choose Jesus. He loves you. He has his arms open for you.